Glad to have you join us on Drug Dangers on ESBS Sunrise FM 96.1. This edition, we shall be taking a look on something we have heard about, though most of us may not have a proper knowledge of how it happens and how it goes on. Sports performance enhancing drugs. And today we are going to educate you on the risks, on the dangers therein. We have our guest from the NDLEA Enugu State Command. He's the Deputy Commander of Narcotics in charge of drug demand reduction, DNC Ibezimako Onwunwa. Glad to have you, DNC.
Thank you very much for having me.
My name is Ngozika, Mbah, the presenter, the host of the show. And today we will go right away to know these drugs and how they work and the dangers. And so, DNC, you mind explaining to our listener what sports performance enhancement drugs are? We know those drugs that are antidepressants. We know those ones that are hallucinators. We know so many of them, but we didn't have general knowledge of drugs that enhance sports. Those who are in sports, but we hear from time to time that they were apprehended, not apprehended really, they were subjected to tests, and most of them tested positive. So what are we talking about really here?
Yes, first of all, one of the things that is ruining sports, not just in Nigeria, but globally, is banned substances.
Banned?
Yes. Or substances under legislation that athletes, sportsmen use. If are these substances, you will agree with me that sportsmen and women engage in rigorous forms of activities, and sometimes they take these enhancements to further boost their efforts. And some of these drugs, the commonly abused one, coming to this are part of the divide, is cannabis.
Oh, does that pass also as an enhancement drug for sports?
Definitely.
Oh, okay.
When some of these young men take cannabis, it makes them very high. It makes them very energetic. In fact, it boosts their performance more than ordinarily it should. So cannabis, and unfortunately, where they get these drugs, and they don't need to go too far.
Is readily available.
Is readily available. So once they just go, they take these things, and under 3 minutes, while on a higher scale, some of them take the ones they call for the big boys, cocaine, heroin.
It enhances sports performance as well.
Definitely. In fact, for crack cocaine, the moment it is injected through the vein, it gives an instant kick or an instant high. And you now see the person being hyperactive.
Wow.
Unnecessarily.
You have just established that actually there are drugs that enhance sports performance.
Yes.
Okay, that's the very first question. And you said that there are the ones that are being consumed in this part of the world are readily available, because I was going to ask you how they are able to get that. Okay, but we hear about some probably chemically prepared. That's the compositions are chemical, just like you mentioned cocaine. We know they are not plants, while marijuana are just plants. So the ones taken elsewhere, are they not available in Nigeria for those sports users, those in sports who use them?
A lot of them are readily available here.
Readily available.
Yes.
Okay. And if you didn't mention marijuana, I would have asked you how they lay hands on these drugs, how it's because it's actually ubiquitous in the sports world. From time to time, the athletes, even the footballers, are subjected to test, and we see that most of them test positive to dope. So I was going to ask you how they were able to get that, but I've not seen or heard that any sports person that has tested positive to the use of marijuana, or is it that they don't mention what drug they have tested positive to?
There are classifications. Okay, like recently, there's this footballer in UK from the Premier League. His name is Paul. Is it Paul Pogba for Manchester United. Usually, what they do is after every game, they test. They have
the kits.
Yes. In fact, we have the kits too.
The NDLEA.
Definitely, we do.
Okay.
After every game, and they have some of these drugs that they have classified as being banned. Even sometimes the doctors prescribe some of these drugs, and the athletes sometimes will claim that they did not know it falls within the category of the drugs that are banned. Our own Toby Amusa, recently there were some drugs given to her that were classified as those that she's not supposed to take. But I don't think that is so severe that it required a clamp down. But it was in the news. And this thing has become so worrisome that about a month ago, the Nigerian Football Federation League visited the chairman, chief executive. And one of the things that they were clamoring for, they were clamoring that athletes, footballers should be checked by NDLEA before they engage
in any sporting activity.
Yes. It was all over the whole news. And the chairman promised. In fact, I started syndicating the information and the directives. Recently, we took delivery of some test kits, and it's been like that in all states of the federation, not only for sportsmen. Even very soon, before a young man or a young woman will be admitted in the university, you have to get a certificate
of drug use free.
Yes, that you're drug free. Very soon you will hear it.
Okay.
So if any sportsman now wants to achieve, knowing fully well that he or she will be tested, will now be very careful. So very soon it will come into law that before you engage in any competitive sport, that you make sure that you're drug free.
Okay, because what you just said now means that the country, actually the leadership of the country is doing something as regards this abuse, because I think it's an abuse, right?
Yes, it's an abuse.
Because the drugs, I want to believe, are originally there for something. Maybe
Yes.
to treat certain ailments.
Yes.
But it gets into the wrong hands, and they begin to abuse it and use it for something else. You mentioned marijuana, you mentioned cocaine and crack cocaine and the likes. But are there other drugs that
Yes.
are also in this category?
Yes. There are so many of them.
Oh,
So many. So many. In fact, as the days go by, new discoveries are being made. In fact, for the purpose of the very young ones, I might not really want to
begin to mention them.
them. Some of them are the ones you readily see along the road. Some of them, ignorantly, chemists, pharmaceutical stores sell them. In fact, I'll just give a very simple one. Tramadol.
Okay.
We know that on the face value, tramadol is used as a painkiller. But excess, a certain quantity that is above the normal prescription, once they take these things, it now become an enhancement drug. So NDLEA went in and looked at those things, and today it is banned.
Okay. Banned as over-the-counter drug?
It is banned.
Totally banned?
Yes. In fact, the one that pharmacy outlets are asked to sell on prescription, I think is it shouldn't be more than 100 milligrams, if I'm not mistaken. So some of them go to get the 250, 500, that is very high and very harsh. And again, you see some of these sportsmen, they will go and take carbonated drink, and they now put Tom-Tom, and you see them drinking it.
And they rebrand the name.
It gets them high. So on the face value, you see the carbonated drink and sweet. So that is why even this gum solution, Tipex, some inhale.
Just to enable them perform better at sports. But at these ones that are like an everyday use stuff for something else, if they are tested for dope, and that is cited in the specimen, will they also be culpable?
Definitely.
Okay.
As it is now, I don't have those classified
drugs
as
because that are classified as PEDs.
Yes, because like the International Olympic Committee, they have
a standard
set of drugs. Athletic Federation of Nigeria, or the International Athletics Federation, they have drugs that they have equally classified. The football world governing body, FIFA, have classified drugs. So for various sportsmen, and again, even the weightlifters, they have drugs that
bodybuilders.
Yes. But unfortunately, some of them still take these things. But what is the after effect, even if they are not under legislation?
Okay, we will get to this point.
Yes.
You know, with
the
all
medical,
the
medical implication after the sports,
after the
or
sports,
even during the sports.
Because I was going to ask you, should they take these drugs? Is it needful to take this drug? But you just brought us to the fact that there are side effects. With all the attention and debate over performance enhancing drugs, many people know and have come to understand that these drugs affects one's body. Okay, so it's becoming an important area of concern, and the athletes, those in sports who use them, should know. We will observe a short break. When we return, we shall conclude this conversation. Don't go anywhere. It is Drug Dangers on ESBS Sunrise FM 96.1. Still with us on Drug Dangers on ESBS Sunrise FM 96.1, where we enlighten you about drugs that are harmful. I mean, psycho substances that are harmful to your health, to the society, and even to your family, if you ever love them. The members of your family, I mean. We are today talking about the sports performance enhancing drugs. But we will not conclude without letting you know the risk. These drugs drastically transform your body system and make you to do things you would not ordinarily do. And probably you win a competition. But what next? What next is the question. And so we're still with the DNC, Ibezimako, Onwunwa of NDLEA, Enugu State Command, Deputy Commander of Narcotics. Should I ask you what the benefits are? No, that's not what we're here to talk about. So let's talk about the risks so that our listener will understand the risks inherent in using sports performance enhancement drugs.
Thank you very much. For me, I always advise that for those things that you pay for later, it's better you don't even indulge in them at all. I'm sure you must have heard of anabolic steroids
that bodybuilders use.
Yes. Even athletes. Athletes use them. That was what Ben Johnson used
in his days.
Yes. The anabolic steroid builds up the muscles and strength. Now, there are some things these steroids do. It palpates the heart faster than it should. So you must put up a pace that will make the heart balance with the pace or speed. And that is why you notice that some of them, even the footballers, I wouldn't want to call names, at the point they will play, you see some of them will just slump on the pitch. And it will be difficult to revive and the person will die. Even if you're not a sports person, I am not a medical doctor, but from the little I know is that when you take cocaine now, the heartbeat will be faster. That is why you see a lot of these musicians, you see that the person have died of heart attack, because the palpating of the heart will not be able to match. If I will be too high, and you see the person will slump. I don't know if you know about this Amy Winegate. It's what killed her. So aside from those superstars, the athletes, by the time the heart overworks itself because of the drug, you see the person will give up. That is one. Secondly, at a certain stage, when the person will not be too active in sports, the veins will now start giving way, because the drugs have affected the veins, and now as the person is aging, the veins and the muscles will start to sag. And some of them, recently we saw a bodybuilder that is not able to stand anymore because the body, the muscles are giving way. Even the bones, those steroids have affected the bones. So right now, he's on wheelchair. Then the skin, at a certain stage, you now see rashes, eczema, which is a result of excessive use of steroid. Right here, a young promising footballer that I knew very well, and I knew he used to take drugs. Each time, very good footballer. Each time they're about to play, he'll go and pop drugs. At the point they were warming up to play a match, he's a professional footballer. I wouldn't want to call the name of the club. While they were warming, he collapsed. And during autopsy, because he eventually died, during autopsy, they discovered that he had taken drug overdose. So the dangers are so many.
Now, are these drugs addictive?
Definitely.
Oh. And so each performance user will be sort of forced to take, or they take even without getting ready for performance?
First of all, like I said earlier, every sportsman or woman, for you to be in shape, you must be exercising and training regularly.
And not necessarily placing yourself on drugs.
Some of them will tell you that fatigue, they will start by taking pain relievers, strong analgesics that will ease the pain. I know another sports person that is addicted to some of these pain relieving steroids. And if he stays 3 hours, he doesn't take them, he will now start shivering. That's a severe case of addiction. And today, he is not able to compete. So, for them to be in shape and to train, some of them take these things, not knowing
the implication
of what it will do to them in later years.
You have mentioned so many deaths, and this is scary. Okay, especially
it's a recurrent thing. Sometimes you'll be watching football, you see somebody collapse. Some people say exhaustion. Some people say heart attack. By the time they do autopsy, they'll discover that he had popped so many steroids and drugs into his system.
Now, you're in charge of drug demand and drug demand reduction. here in Enugu command of the NDLEA. I don't know if there are things you do to ensure, because we have sportsmen and women right here. We see people exercise every weekend around us here in Independence Layout. We also know that we have footballers and athletes. I mean, the state is usually represented in some sporting activities. Are there things you do to ensure that these persons who are athletes, footballers, bodybuilders, that they do not rely on drugs? You know, you stop it early enough before they begin to get to other levels where they will even begin to face tests.
Thank you. The moment I got notice for this program, I called the general manager of Rangers. He's a young man, my friend, Barrister Mobi. In fact, I wanted him to come and join me in this discourse, so that at the level of the administration of general manager of Rangers, he will lend voice to appeal to our young ones to stay away from performance enhancing drugs. But he promised that he will find time, that his schedule is very tight today. We use every opportunity to talk to people. Fortunately, I play football. I still play football.
Oh, really? That's good to know.
I played, a measure of top-level football. So I still play to keep fit. And at every opportunity, I tell my colleagues that using performance-enhancing drugs to boost your stamina, that there's always a repercussion. The Honorable Chairman Chief Executive, in a 4-year master plan which he rolled out, 5-year master plan which he rolled out, 2001 to 2005, and 2021 to 2025. One of the things which is key is that,
sir.
So the chairman has mandated us to use every opportunity to sensitize the people, to do advocacy. And the reason is simple and appeals to common sense, that it is cheaper to warn the people on the dangers of staying away from banned substances than effecting arrest. It is not cheap, especially
to arrest
now,
and keep them in your custody.
especially now that they are selling fuel 800 naira per liter. You now go and arrest somebody, you keep the person in your custody, you feed the person 3 times a day. You take the person to court and secure conviction and take the person to prison. Will it not be better if you go to a community or a sports arena and gather the people and tell them, say, please, there are implications when you are arrested? So we find out that it is cheaper, more convenient
to enlighten
people. In fact, the recent thing that is going on is to some private nursery and primary schools have started a drug awareness curriculum in their daily school activities, so that you look out for those things that will make you suspect that this person is on drugs. Like when the eye is red, running nose, fidgeting, wearing dark glasses when there is no sunlight, always carrying handkerchief to clean running nose, dry lips, irritant and irritable behavior, fidgeting, not being calm, or being unusually calm. So when they see things like this, they now alert the necessary people. Say, this person is behaving very unusual. Check if he's on drugs. So we are using every opportunity to appeal to Nigerians to stay away, because drug kills.
I think this is a good place to leave this conversation. We have made our point. Yes, there are drugs that can enhance your performance, especially if you have a strong feeling, a strong drive to win in certain sports competition. But then some of these drugs have their own risks. And listening to DC and Ibezimako, the risks are, scary. Why would you choose to toe this path? Yes, they may give you a momentary, a good feeling of being a winner. But then again, the health risks and the social risks as well. I mean, it's embarrassing that you, at the height of your fame, can no longer hold yourself together. You'll be wheeled on a wheelchair. You will not be able to help yourself because your nerves are already broken down. We are concluding this discussion at this point, reminding you that it is better to stay out of drugs. Drug Dangers came your way in ESBS Sunrise FM 96.1. And our guest is the Deputy Commander of Narcotics in charge of Drug Demand Reduction Unit of NDLEA Enugu State Command, DCN Ibezimako Onwunwa. Thank you, sir, for finding out time to be here.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure and a very big privilege to talk to our people.
My name is Ngozika, Mbah. Again, I say to you, stay out of drugs.